Everybody, welcome back. I'm the Stretch Professor, and let's go ahead and get in here. I'll move the camera up there. Looking at the patch notes for 13.16. As always, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. Really upside a ton on the channel. Come by, check out the rest of the content on the channel as well. I know I missed the support tier list last patch, and we'll try to get in there and do it this patch, so sorry about that, but I will have the new tier list for this patch. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here without any further ado. Okay, so it looks like they're touching a lot of things, but how many of these will actually be meaningful? Okay, so Akali, energy cost is down, so that's going to let her sort of last hit and trade a little bit better, especially early on, and then she's got a little bit more damage later on. I feel like Akali has the potential to be like an interesting champion, but she's just so difficult to balance. So much mobility, so much burst damage. I think a big part of it is like that cloud. It just lasts for so long, and it's so hard to interact with her in the middle of that cloud, and it causes so many problems. But we'll see. I do think that mages in general need a little bit of help, so she could be interesting as long as she doesn't get to the point where she can just, like, you know, one-shot people and get out, right, without any problems. Okay, but I like these kind of like just takes more time. I think that high mobility champions need to take a while to kill somebody to really leverage that mobility and give the enemy team a chance to react, you know, to all of the mobility. Like, you can't have high mobility and really high burst, in my opinion. It's going to be too difficult to balance. Okay, Brand. He's really hard to make work. Even as a support, definitely in the mid lane. He's just very immobile. His damage is okay, so they're giving him some higher AP damage. His passive is a lot of his power, and that does do percentage-based health, so it's hard to give him that much more damage than the rest of his kit. So this is okay. I think they either need to give him more range, especially on his E. Like, maybe they could give him 50 range on his E, maybe even 100. It is point click, so you can't really make point click stuff that much further than auto attack range for a lot of champs. But I just feel like he needs more utility. Like, the damage is good, but I don't really know what exactly that would look like other than shorter cooldowns, lower mana costs, or more range. I think 50 more range on Conflag and lower the cost on the W, so you could fish more for W hits would be good. But in general, you know, like I said, he's just too immobile, doesn't have enough utility, and I just don't think he's going to work super well in all roles. I mean, if you have a pressure lane and you play him as support bot and the enemy has a lot of melee champions, you know, they're running like 4 melee and they're all going to group up for a team fight or something, his ult does get a lot of value right there. But I just feel like if you want to play a mage bottom right now, I would just go longer range like Xerath, or something with a bit more utility and more range, something like Lux potentially. So I just think it's really hard to play Brand right now. But this is a little bit of help. Okay, Caitlyn attacks per headshot 6. They keep buffing Caitlyn with some stuff. Like, they keep buffing her ult. I don't really know what she needs. I mean, it's hard to really buff her that much because her range, she is so oppressive in pro with that range. They could make Hurricane interact again with headshot to allow her to stack headshot faster. Maybe that's OP. It's been a long time since that's been a thing. Probably like 5 or 6 years. But I guess this is an okay start. I don't really know. I guess just maybe make her headshots do more damage or lower the cooldown on trap or net. I would just love to see her have a bit more utility rather than just kind of raw damage. Okay, Echo. Really don't like to see them buffing this champ because I feel like he's always like one-trickable and can be strong in solo queue, and his numbers are already kind of ludicrous. Like the 150% AP ratio on his shield parallel convergence, and it stuns for like 2 seconds or something crazy. Okay, so they're basically giving him a little bit better wave clear with the Q, and then the slow is up a little bit as well. Okay, Karma, it's just, I don't know, it just seems bad. It just seems like Melio is just better than Karma almost always, but they are giving her a little bit extra here. I'm really surprised that the Q only has a zero.4 AP ratio. Just kind of sad. So they're giving it 0.5, but that's still just like abysmal scaling. For they really don't want solo lane Karma. I think though, like her empowered W is just obnoxious. Um, so I just think there are better pressure champs right now. Like you can play Melio, you can just go with a more traditional pressure champ early, like Lux, Xerath, stuff like that. If you want to push waves and pressure people, I just think she just doesn't do enough. Like it used to be, her mantra E was like a pretty big shield and was fairly unique. Let everybody run in. But now, Shirelia's is something that a lot of other enchanters are going to get anyways. And there's just so many other engage tools out there that are just going to be more effective. So I think she's kind of outdated. I mean, you might still see, maybe in Pro, there could be some lanes like classic Ezreal Karma, just push and poke type of stuff, but I still don't think she's going to be a force. I think Melio could potentially be better for that type of thing. Okay, a little bit of extra damage on Lucian. Yeah, he's kind of fallen off a lot, especially since they nerfed him and Nami. And he just doesn't do super well, I think, with a lot of the items that are kind of becoming meta. So he just feels a little off. To be fair, I've not seen him a ton, but he could use a little love since they try to decouple him with Nami. Okay, Lulu. Glitter Lance, a little bit more AP. That's okay. You're not buying it. I mean, I guess you are buying a little bit of AP, right? Like, you've got Shirelia's, you have Ardent Sensor. Ardent Sensor's been nerfed pretty significantly. And that's part of why Lulu is sort of fallen out of favor. Also, just the kinds of ADCs that are getting played. I think she's still, like, pretty good at like a Aphelios. Obviously, Jinx. I don't think Jinx gets played that much. Not amazing with, like, Kai'Sa, who's very popular right now. And then the shield. Yeah, so, I mean, this is okay, but it's, like, basically at 2 items, you're going to have 10 more shield or, 10 more damage on your Glitter Lance. So, I'm not really sure what she needs. I mean, lower cooldown on W would be good, but that's how they've nerfed her. She's just kind of a very niche sort of extreme champ. If they wanted to even her out a little bit more, I think they could give her better wave clear on the Q, like lower the fall off damage to help her push more. I know, kind of like Karma, they don't want solo lane Lulu to be a thing. They don't want the utility champs because they don't want champions that build cheap items in other lanes because it throws off timings and it's just awkward when they can buy 2100 or 2300 gold items. That's why I think that some of the items, they need to limit it to the support role only by saying you have to have a completed warding item, or at least like a level 2 warding item where you've gotten 500 gold off of it. So it's like, could it be exploited? Maybe, but those gold items have been adjusted in such a way it makes it almost impossible to stack them in a solo lane, and you'd have to go really, really far out of your way to do it. And if they did that, I feel like they could buff some of these champs to make them more fair in solo lanes if you want to flex a Lulu or a Karma top or whatever. If they couldn't buy Armor Sensor, if they couldn't buy Redemption, that type of thing, then I think it'd be easier to balance. And you could make other interesting support items that wouldn't get abused by other roles. Sort of like Umbral Glaive. They had to nerf that a lot because a lot of junglers were taking that and it was too good for vision control. Various AP items. They've never really designed like a super great like AP support items, but if they could come up with like a 2500 gold version of like Leandries or Demonic or something like that, that could be really interesting. So anyways, that's just kind of a pipe dream. I've been saying that for a long time. They need to basically lock the support items into a support role using the warding item so that they can better balance it so people don't poach it and use it in other lanes. Now, would that affect things like Ivern? Potentially. You'd have to figure out a workaround. There are some champs that can, where that might be a problem. But I think it would open up so many more possibilities than problems that it would cause. And I think you could just fix that, just give Ivern, like, better, AP scaling on his shield or, something like that if he really needs some of those items. Okay. Like Redemption and stuff like that. Okay, Malzahar. Damage ticks a little bit faster, but at the same time, the minion execute threshold is a little bit lower early on. I don't know. I mean, it seems fine either way. Okay. Melio, Q damage increased, A shield. So, like, they barely buffed Karma, but Melio, they're just absolutely, this is absurd. It's 30 damage, 70 damage at max level on Q. 70 extra damage, and 130% extra AP. I mean, that's like the hardest hitting spell. What is the cooldown on that? Isn't it like 6 seconds or something? It's pretty nuts. And it's got, doesn't it have like at least 900 range? Maybe 800? Okay, never mind. It's 12 seconds at all ranks. Okay, well that's a little bit less crazy. It does have a slow. What is the range on it? 1,000. But it is 12 seconds flat. So I don't know. If you can consistently hit that, like, that's big time damage. Now, it does have a huge AP ratio anyway, so even if you still only put, like, 1 point in it, which I think is what people currently do, you'd still get a little bit more damage out of it. And they're nerfing his shield, which is dangerous, giving an extra 5% AP and 20 base. You gotta remember, he can double tap that on somebody too, so it's not just 140 to 160, that's 280 to 320 with a 0.6 AP ratio. So, I guess, I mean, Melio is like, I don't think he's super interesting. He's okay. He's an enchanter that has a pushback, which is kind of rare. You've got Janna, so he does peel, but at the same time, I don't know that he necessarily creates like really interesting gameplay. I guess there's some, like, he can pressure a lot early on, but I mean, maybe he's a little bit healthier than something like a Lulu. I'm thinking especially for like professional play, because there is a little bit more like interaction and risk taking and early sort of damage. Like, it does encourage early pressure with him with his W to force some action and pressure towers and stuff like that. So I guess that's okay. Way better than something like Yuumi lanes, as far as like spectator and pro balance and stuff like that is concerned. Okay, Nefari, armor's going down, damage is down. This champion does a little bit too much damage. They are changing Dustblade a little bit on this patch, so she's okay. I don't think she's overwhelmingly powerful, but a little nerf's probably okay. They're trying to help out AD Nidalee. Is that a thing? Like, it feels like that would be really bad. I don't know. I guess when I'm thinking Nidalee, her unique identity to me has always been the spears. Like, hitting the spear, chunking them out for some damage, and then if you choose to go in, you can dive in and maybe get some kills. But I think a big part of her kit has always been the spears. So, I don't know. I feel like Nidalee maybe needs some love, but at the same time, occasionally she does get played at a high level in pro. She's extremely high skill cap, very situational jungler who excels at sort of dueling other junglers early or just like harassing them, invading. It's really taking advantage of tempo in the early game especially, so I don't know. I guess that's fine. Someone on stream, I think it was Butter, said that like top lane Nidalee It's becoming more popular. I really hope not for the sake of my solo queue games, but I don't know. I guess if you want to go AD Italy, maybe that's a thing. Okay, Rek'Sai Q damage. Sorry, it's kind of late here, but I am trying to record this for you guys. Fine. Shaco nerfing AP Shaco a lot. 70 at all ranks. I guess is Shaco that much of a menace? Too easy for Shaco to counter multiple champions that want to engage by a bunch of boxes. What is Shaco's presence in Pro? It's like 0%. I mean, now this has been bugged this entire patch, so I'm not sure if it's going to be accurate or not, so I'm just going to do Platinum Plus. Those numbers look more accurate. Last patch, it was like everything had 55%, so it was kind of messed up. But here, okay, this looks like this is probably going to be back to accurate. So this is after the Shaco nerf, but I mean, it's a 50% play rate. Less than 3% of the population plays this. Let me see if last patch, if that was still bugged or not. Okay, at Platinum Plus, it's not. Looks like it's accurate now. Okay, I mean, he has 53% win rate, but it's a 2% pick rate, man. Like, you can't even look at that. It's such a small sample size. It's basically really obscure one-tricks that play in. I don't know. He's good against Rakan, so he's annoying. So it's like, yeah, I'm glad to see him nerfed, but at the same time, it's like, is he really that much of a menace? I feel like they already nerfed him a ton back in the day, but anyways, okay, Shyvana, damage per second is up. Actually, no, it's down. Burnout. That champ seems horrible. Like, I've had her on my team a few times. I've seen her pop off a couple of times. I mean, horrible maybe is a strong word. I would not be surprised if she has, like, a 53% win rate or something. But again, I feel like it's going to be an extremely low pick rate. Guess it's not that bad. Okay. 5%, 53% win rate. But Kha'Zix is 12% with a 53% win rate. And he's banned a lot more. I mean, I don't think Kha'Zix is overwhelmingly strong either, but I don't know. It just seems kind of obscure because neither of these champions have like any pro presence at all. And it feels like if you're gonna nerf them in solo queue, like they need to have a high pick rate. Like that's what I'm thinking is like means that something is really good. Like I feel like it needs to have. I mean, I guess 5% pick rate, 53% win rate is kind of okay, I guess. I don't know. I just don't feel like you needed to nerf those. It just feels very obscure. Like there's other balancing issues that they could be focusing on, like Kai'Sa or something like that. Especially for like pro. Kai'Sa, Tristana, Duskblade, Jace. I feel like this, like none of this is really gonna adjust pro play at all, or solo queue for that matter. Base stats on Sylas or mana's up a little bit, I guess. Okay, Tristana, base armor is up. Why? She's terrorizing. Okay, she is. I think she's the most picked and banned mid laner. And she can flex bottom. She's not played bottom as much. And she's simultaneously a hard to gank lane bully and a late game scaling crit marksman. Yes. Unaffected by these changes in bot lane. So, the 4 armor and better armor per level Why did she have 670 base health? Like, what the hell? That's more than most tanks. So yeah, that's, I mean, that's cool. That's good. They nerfed it 30. It's still 640, which seems high to me. Magic resist by 2. But 4 armor. Armor is way, way more important most of the time. Especially in the laning phase for an auto attacker, right? Because when you auto attack, then the minions come at you. So if you trade with them, then the ranged minions are going to hit you. Now, you know, a lot of times you don't want to be attacking when there's a lot of minions there, but there will be some minions there a lot of times. You know, 1 or 2 that are going to, you know, nick you, and that adds up. And then obviously if you ever take a tower shot, 4 armor is going to help a little bit there. And a lot of other popular mid laners right now in pro, namely like Jace that they'll pick into Tristana, are AD. I'd say, well, I mean, let me look and see. I feel like most of the games that I see, it's AD mids. I mean, obviously you've got Azir. It's just a bigger sample size on this patch, but like, you've got Azir. Okay, there's like no. There we go. Okay, I mean, I guess really Jace is pretty much an outlier, and then everything else is magic. Okay. I guess. I don't know. I would hit her harder than that. Just unequivocally nerf her. I don't think you need to try to balance it out. Just nerf her. Nerf her attack speed on her Q, or increase the cooldown so it's not always up whenever you get quick blades. Okay, Wukong. Mana cost down on Q. I'm cool with that. It's like just better trading. Wukong I still think is almost always pretty good, especially in solo queue. He just has so much utility with like his armor shred, his knock up. He can get cleaver and distribute cleaver shredding all over the place. He's tanky for no reason with his passive. You know, he's kind of sneaky. A lot of good attributes to Wukong. And mana cost somewhere. Okay, so he can trade better in lane is what they want. I don't think this is going to affect, yeah, jungle that much. Okay, Axiom Arc. Ultimate cooldown refunded is 10%. Okay, so that's going to make that a lot better on like Zed assassination type chips. This is too strong. I don't think they're nerfing the right thing on this. So cooldown is going from 10 seconds to 30. I mean, that's a good thing because like 10 seconds means you can proc it twice in a lot of fights, especially because I believe cooldown is affected by ability haste. I'm almost certain that it is on items. So like passive cooldowns like this. So, you know, with some of these assassins, I think that has ability haste on it to begin with. 20 ability haste. And you can very easily get to 40. And maybe even higher than that. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have ability haste on it. I don't know. But it feels like this is like really going to be like 8 seconds. Tops. And that's enough to get it off like twice in a fight. In like an extended fight. So, and like the big problem is the proc. It's not the damage, the missing health and all this. The problem is that you go invincible for however the hell long it is. It's like 2 seconds. It feels like forever. What it needs to be is you go invisible and you get a burst of speed. Basically Kha'Zix. That's what this item needs to do. You still need to be vulnerable to damage and CC. People just can't target you. That's what I think. Because right now, it just feels like such BS if you're... Cause it's basically a Zanya's, but you can still, like, move around. Now, they made it to where you take tower shots now, thank God. But, yeah, it's got 25 ability ace on it. I mean, these are, like, really good stats as is. 0 to 18% based on your target's missing health, increased damage. So you just get that kind of for free, which is good. Untargetable and invulnerable to non-structured damage for 1.5 seconds. Okay, so you can't cast abilities. But you're still just like, you dodge so much damage incidentally with this, and it just feels so bad if you're like throwing a piece of CC at him in a team fight and like somebody dies and then they just go invulnerable or whatever, or you're throwing like a huge cooldown at him and they just like go invulnerable from killing somebody else, like a Vagar ult or like Rakan ults and stuff like that before. So I don't know. I just think it's too good. I think that you should still take damage, and you should be CC'd by AoE stuff. You just get a burst of speed so you can reposition and you're invisible. I think as an assassination item that makes more sense. Okay, Prowler's Claw. Current. I honestly don't even remember what this item does after they got rid of the dash on it. Pick this item up. Because that was the whole thing, was you like dash and it did a little bit of extra damage or whatever. Using a dash, lunge, or blink, or exiting stealth causes your next attack against the champion to do some extra damage. Okay, so whenever you use a dash or a blink or whatever, you get a little bit of extra damage, but it doesn't give you that anymore. I mean, like, who wants that? Like, Lucian? I don't think Lucian would want it, right? I'm trying to think of, like, champs that, like, jump around a lot that would want something like that. I just still feel like it's going to be extremely niche. Because, like, Fiora is not going to want that. She can dash around. I mean, Lee. Is Lee going to want that? I don't know. I think it's going to be very niche. I still think a lot of people are just going to go like Dustblade or Ghostblade or whatever. Serpent Fang getting a little more lethality, okay. Umbral getting lethality, sure. It used to be, wasn't it 18 at one point? This item, I really wish it just kind of wasn't an item. Like, the vision control on it is just so obnoxious. I mean, I guess AD supports need something, right? Like Senna, Ashe, Pyke, if they want that to be a thing. This is one of the major reasons you can play those champs. So, I guess. It's annoying. It just feels really weird that, like, assassination, scaling, like, damage-oriented champions get a utility item like this. Like, this feels like this should be an enchanter item. Like, vision control should be an enchanter thing, because they're the ones that really need the help with vision control, because it's so hard to get vision control as an enchanter later on because you die to everything in like one hit. So like having an enchanter item that just gave like a little bit of AP, some plus healing and shielding power, and you know, this ability, maybe some mana regen or something, and this ability I think would be good. Maybe a little health or something. I don't know. Basically, redemption, cost, stats type of thing. But instead of having the redemption active, you have the Umbral passive. That's my opinion. I mean, I guess it's hard for AD champs to control vision too, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Okay, a bunch of arena stuff. Surrender, quality of life. I don't like this, that it doesn't say who pressed the surrender button. What's their reasoning? Okay, so they are taking that away the surrender vote so that people won't just throw up a vote whenever they die. Um, you know who it is, dude. When that dude dies, and a lot of times they'll just type surrender or something like that, or they're like spamming question marks or whatever if you don't have everybody muted, which you should. But I kind of want to know who's pressing the surrender, right? Because if they're just like spamming it, I take that into account. I mean, I guess they're trying to stop the toxic behavior from it, but I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. Player that started the vote will not be able to begin another surrender vote for 6 minutes. Oh, okay. So it's longer. The same person can't spam it every 3 minutes. I like that. I think that, it should be like if you press it twice as an individual person or something, then you're locked for the rest of the game. Maybe even once. But yeah, I guess 6 minutes is fine. I'd like to see him make it even higher. It's just so annoying and kind of demoralizing for a lot of the team when someone just keeps spamming surrender. Um, okay, that's fine. I think in general, people surrender too early. I know that people talk about getting held hostage in games, and I know that sometimes you just don't want to play, especially if you're in a solo lane and you just can't do anything anymore. You're just sitting under your tower, just waiting for 10 minutes until the mid game where maybe you can do something. Like, I understand that that's not perceived to be fun when a lot of people want to carry, they want to be winning, and they just want to go to a game where they're like hard dominating. But it's like the truth is, it's a team game, and games are a lot more winnable than people think they are. A lot more winnable. With all the comeback mechanics and with how many opportunities the enemy team has to make mistakes with bad positioning and, all this other stuff. It's so easy to come back into the game to win games now. So people really shouldn't be surrendering that often if their goal is to actually win. So I think they're helping people help themselves with these things a little bit. There is such a thing as hostage taking, right? Where it's like two people just refuse to surrender and your team's down 30,000 gold or, of course you can draw up a scenario. But I think the more likely scenario is a team is down like 3 to 5,000 gold max. I mean, sometimes people throw up a surrender or they want to like give up on a game after 1 or 2 deaths. But even if you're down like 3 to 5,000 gold, I would say you probably still have at least a 30% chance to win a lot of those games, depending on your elo. Obviously, the higher the elo goes, I feel like the less likely it is you are to come back, but I think it definitely can still happen. I mean, really, if the game just gets to like 30 or 35 minutes, and there's a fight around Baron, if one team gets ace and one team gets Baron, you just win. Right? A lot of times. It doesn't matter if you're down 10k gold or whatever. It just takes one good fight where you get an ace and you got Baron and you just win the game. So, I think a lot of games are way more winnable than people think. Anyways, okay. Well, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. Like I said, I will be doing the support tier list. I'll see if I can release that either later today or tomorrow. And other than that, have a good day. Be sure to like and subscribe. Come by, check out the stream, usually starting around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time these days. And I'll see you next time. Have a good day.